As we commence the 44th annual meeting of the CDB Board of Governors, Montserrat wishes to express its sincere gratitude to the Caribbean Development Bank through its various programs for the continued support that has been provided to Montserrat over the years. If we go back to the early 90s, after we lost our port in Plymouth through Hurricane Hugo, the Caribbean Development Bank provided financing for the rebuilding of that port, which in itself provided not only a facility for bringing in cargo, but also facilitated the movement of cruise ship passengers into Montserrat. Unfortunately, we lost that facility as a consequence of the volcanic situation which commenced in 1995. But despite that, we've continued to make our repayments to the Caribbean Development Bank. Other projects for which we have had funding from the Caribbean Development Bank through the BNTF program are scattered across the island, and the people of Montserrat have benefited substantially, not only from primary and pre-primary education, but medical facilities and the upgrading of medical facilities, road infrastructure to facilitate farmers getting to their farms for the continued production of their crops, and of late, under the new BNTF program, we're looking at the development of community centers in some of the more challenged communities in Montserrat. These community centers will not only function as a center for people to have meetings, but also a facility which will provide the opportunities for training young people and also those not so young in those communities to do a range of productive enterprises, ranging from ICTs to cooking, baking services, small business operations, small food processing facilities, all can be encapsulated within each of those projects. As the CDB moves forward through the 44th annual general meeting, we trust and hope that we will continue to see the good work of the Caribbean Development Bank and the continued support of all of the donors and the non-borrowing members in assisting us, especially at a time like this, when the region is suffering from a range of financial issues which we will all seek to work together to resolve. As we move forward with the economic development and progress of Montserrat, there are a few major projects that we need to be looking at and which we will be involving the Caribbean Development Bank in. One is the rebuilding of the power plant that has already been approved and funded jointly between the British government and the Caribbean Development Bank. Construction should commence in June of this year. The other one is the port project and the port redevelopment project in the north of Montserrat. It's a huge project given Montserrat's size, but at least we have to be looking at a project which will develop Montserrat for its future. We're therefore looking at an overall allocation of possibly 100 million US dollars, of which we're expecting the British to provide about 30 million, and then we'll go public-private partnership along with the Caribbean Development Bank, possibly, for the build-out of that particular project. Again, Caribbean Development Bank, the OECS, the entire region, that is why we have the Caribbean Development Bank. Caribbean Development Bank for the development of the region.